In a twist that no one ever saw coming, LIV Golf, once frowned upon for its mega contract on the back of Saudi funding, team formats, and much more, now walks hand in hand with the holy PGA and DP World Tour. With the matrimony soon to be consummated, LIV's CEO, who not too long ago was on the receiving end of the stick, is now being bamboozled with calls from PGA golfers who seem to have seen the light and keen to join the circuit they once spurned. 12 months was all it took for all hell to break loose. The moment the Saudi-backed series launched last summer, it was clear that it would rival the PGA and, hey, go far beyond in some aspects. In what felt like a power struggle between both factions, the game was torn apart in a civil war, with both sides of one coin having fierce soldiers ready to defend the cause. Be that as it may, it wasn't only the back-and-forth drama that caused a frenzy. Peace had the same effect, with the PGA signing an agreement deal with the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund on a deal that would see them work alongside the DP World Tour and arch-nemesis LIV under one entity named Newco. Boy, did that break the internet. Guys, almost immediately after the merger hit the headlines, the future of both Greg Norman and his beloved LIV circuit went high up in the air. For Norman, it was widely believed that he was no longer in LIV's big picture after the Australian was kept in the dark over all the negotiations with the tour. The fact the PGA reportedly requested for the Australian to be removed from his role as part of the new venture didn't help matters either. The final nail in the coffin was probably the shocking realization that Norman was only informed of the deal by phone on the day it was announced. As for the breakaway circuit, there were doubts about what the future had in store. No one knew what the merger meant for it moving forward. However, now that things are much calmer, it appears the duo has never been safer. In contrast to the widespread speculations claiming a large part of the 68-year-old Rebel's plans would no longer be aligned with the circuit, Norman himself insists it is far from the truth and that LIV Golf is going nowhere. Speaking on a LIV Golf conference call, Norman said, "The spigot is now wide open for commercial sponsorships, blue-chip companies, TV networks. LIV is and will continue to be a standalone enterprise. Our business model will not change. We changed history, and we're not going anywhere." For some reason, the PGA's request was rejected. Greg Norman would remain part of the process going forward. For quite a while now, the iconic figure had remained tight-lipped regarding the future, but now that his positive update is out there, we cannot help but feel things are much clearer. That being said, the highlight of the business call was the shocking revelation that a number of PGA Tour players had been in contact with him in discussions about the feasibility of joining the breakaway circuit. "I'm getting calls today about other players wanting to come. Been getting a lot of interest from that myself personally." Following the framework agreement, Greg Norman expressed his belief that a large portion of the PGA Tour must have now realized that there would always be more than enough room for both circuits to thrive at the pinnacle of golf's food chain. He says, "The hurdles have been removed and now people see that. Like we said from day one, we want to stand shoulder to shoulder. We want to be supportive of the golfing ecosystem. Our platform is different than the PGA. Is there room for both of us? 100%. And they're realizing that now." Hearing Norman open up on his calls with some PGA Tour players, we can't help but recall the study carried out by students of a sports and politics course at the University of Cincinnati. Studying both the PGA, the Saudi-backed LIV Golf circuit, and the tussle of poaching talent from each other, the students were able to find interesting commonalities about why more and more golfers would either choose to play for LIV or be open to the idea of doing so at least. Curious about their findings? You should note this. According to the data, professional golfers whose performances in PGA tournaments were on the decline were 32% more likely to join LIV. Also, the most famous golfers, measured by Google searches, were twice as likely to join the Saudi-backed circuit. In a nutshell, the students summarized their findings into two reasons. For one, they believed LIV was more intriguing for golfers who prefer not to play a lot of golf. It may seem far-fetched at first glance, But when you take a deeper look, it becomes plausible. After all, who wouldn't want to have a shorter work schedule? That's more time to have fun, relax, or spend more time with family and loved ones. Secondly, it's no secret that LIV golfers make a bucket load of money. Far more than they might have made if they stood loyal to the PGA Tour. Picture this: you're working 35 hours a week in a firm with a $5,000 wage. Then, suddenly, you get a crazy offer from your biggest competitors. A 15-hour schedule a week with $15,000 in wages. Would you really stay loyal to your firm? The crazy part is, rebel golfers wouldn't even feel the guilt of leaving for money. With more and more golfers withdrawing from the PGA Tour, and with each name added to LIV's growing roster, more cover is provided to the group of defecting golfers. After all, it's harder to break a broom when all the sticks are in place. Make no mistake, there is nothing wrong with creating competition in professional golf. Healthy competition is always welcome. The PGA Tour has long needed a review of its compensation packages. With LIV firing on all cylinders, especially in the greens, it placed the PGA Tour under a lot of pressure to finally rethink its packages and offer to pay players more, lest they lose them to their rivals. The PGA's total purse for the 2022-23 season was set north of $560 million, an increase of 33% over the previous year and 25% after adjusting for inflation. Without LIV's influence, it wouldn't have happened. One can argue LIV golfers are being too self-centered by taking LIV's money without caring where it's coming from, especially on the back of Saudi Arabia's human rights record and political policies. But could there be more to it? Guys, make no mistake, the money we're talking about here is ludicrous. People who join LIV Golf are given mammoth, undisclosed contracts just for joining. Then, as if that wasn't already enough, the circuit will pay out an eye-watering sum of $225 million in prize money across the 8 scheduled tournaments. It is believed that the tour will pay billions to the 48 players in what's only its first year of operation, without the massive TV coverage and sponsorship coverage that the PGA enjoys. Not that it matters much in the grand scheme of things, though. LIV Golf is backed by the massive Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. When the PGA Tour attempted to cripple LIV Golf by officially banning all 48 players from participating in its events, many golfers who may have been keen on making such a switch had to halt their plans. But now that the enmity between both parties has been put to rest thanks to the merger, there's almost no downside. Firstly, the moral high ground that the PGA had over the LIV is basically over. Secondly, both circuits would be under one entity. There would be a path, albeit a not too straightforward one, to reconcile with the PGA even if you have been banned. Thirdly, a crucial component of LIV's format has been its team competition running alongside individual scoring. While some of PGA's finest scoffed at the system, hear this. The merger agreement outlines both the DP and PGA tours would determine how best to integrate team golf into their respective organizations. The agreement also highlights that tours would work alongside the Public Investment Fund to get the official World Golf Ranking to recognize LIV Golf. Then again, it's worth adding the attempt would be subject to OFGR criteria. As things stand, LIV fails to meet several criteria because its events neither have cuts nor 48-man fields. Finally, LIV pays considerably better. One may say it's the cherry on the top. Right now, there is one difficult question on everyone's lips: how LIV players would be integrated back on both the PGA and DP World Tours. Under the new framework agreement, all parties will work to find a process that allows the rebels previously barred from the PGA Tour and DP World Tour to rejoin at the end of the 2023 season. There are still uncertainties regarding this, but what has been stated is the agreement for everyone to work in good faith to create a fair and objective reapplication process for anyone who chooses to return. As the dust from the merger of a century settles, the perceived shift in ideologies and the wave of interest from PGA golfers to embrace the once controversial circuit leaves a lot for us to ponder. We appreciate your extended stay. If you haven't already, please click the like button, comment, and subscribe to our channel.